What if I told you that a Roman emperor who lived 2,000 years ago had already figured out the secret to thriving as a digital nomad? No, seriously. While you're stressing about that flaky Wi-Fi connection in your Bali co-working space, Marcus Aurelius was dealing with barbarian invasions, plague, political betrayal, and the weight of an entire empire on his shoulders. And yet, he found peace. He found control. He found freedom. And here's the kicker. You're about to discover that his ancient philosophy is the ultimate travel hack you've been searching for. I know what you're thinking right now. Another philosophy video? How is some ancient Roman guy going to help me deal with my visa rejection or my third flight cancellation this month? Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal a mental framework that will completely transform how you experience the nomadic lifestyle. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll understand why Stoicism isn't just relevant to your life, it was literally designed for it. Let's be honest about something right now. The digital nomad life that looks so perfect on Instagram is actually a masterclass in chaos, isn't it? You're constantly dealing with unreliable internet that crashes right before your client call. You're navigating visa regulations that make zero sense. You're saying goodbye to people you've just started to care about over and over again. You're sleeping in a different bed every few weeks, never quite knowing if the next place will have hot water or if your laptop charger will even fit the electrical outlets. And here's what nobody talks about in those glossy, location-independent posts: the loneliness, the exhaustion of always being the outsider, the anxiety of knowing your entire livelihood depends on technology that could fail at any moment. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, lived in a world of constant instability that would make your nomad life look like a vacation. He was perpetually on the move with his army, camping in harsh conditions along the Danube River, fighting wars he didn't want to fight, dealing with rebellions, plagues, political betrayal, and the weight of an entire empire on his shoulders. He couldn't control where he'd sleep, what he'd eat, or whether he'd even survive the year. Sound familiar? But Marcus developed something extraordinary during those brutal campaigns. A mental operating system that made him immune to external chaos. He wrote in his personal journal, now known as Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the core of Stoicism, and it's about to change everything for you. But before I show you exactly how to apply this, let me tell you what Stoicism is not. It's not about being emotionless. It's not about suppressing your feelings or becoming some cold, robotic person who doesn't care about anything. That's a massive misconception that drives me crazy. Stoicism is actually the opposite. It's about caring deeply about what truly matters while not wasting your mental energy on things you can't control. It's a mental toolkit, not a rigid doctrine. It's flexible, practical, and completely portable, just like you. And here's something I'm going to prove to you by the end of this video. Once you master your internal world, external chaos becomes completely irrelevant. Your peace will no longer depend on having a perfect co-working space or stable Wi-Fi. You'll have something far more valuable, an unshakable foundation that travels with you wherever you go. All right, let's get into the game changer. The absolute foundation of Stoicism is what's called the Dichotomy of Control. And once you truly internalize this concept, I promise you it will feel like you've been playing life on hard mode and someone just handed you the cheat codes. Here's how it works. Everything in your life falls into one of two categories: things you control and things you don't control. That's it. Simple, right? But wait. Here's where most people get it wrong, and I need you to really listen to this part. Most people think they control way more than they actually do. They think they control whether their flight will be on time, whether the hostel will be clean, whether their clients will be happy, whether people will like them, whether the weather will cooperate. And because they think they control these things, they stress about them constantly. But Epictetus, another Stoic philosopher who actually started out as a slave before becoming one of the most influential teachers in Rome, put it brilliantly. Some things are within our power, while others are not. Within our power are opinion, motivation, desire, aversion, and in a word, whatever is of our own doing. Not within our power are our body, our property, reputation, office, and, in a word, whatever is not of our own doing. Think about your digital nomad life right now. What's actually within your control? Your thoughts, your actions, your reactions, how you choose to interpret situations, the effort you put into your work, how you treat people, your daily routines, your decisions about where to focus your attention. That's it. That's your circle of control, and it's actually pretty small. Everything else, the Wi-Fi speed, whether your visa gets approved, what other nomads think of you, whether your Airbnb host is responsive, flight delays, currency exchange rates, the weather, local bureaucracy, not your control. Now here's the exercise that will change your life this week. I want you to grab a piece of paper or open a note on your phone. Make 2 columns. In the left column, write down every single thing that stressed you out today or this week in your nomad life. Be specific. The co-working space was too noisy. My client complained about my work. The visa process is taking forever. I miss my friends back home. Whatever came up. Now, in the right column, honestly categorize each item as either control or no control. Be ruthless about this. You don't control the noise level of a space, but you do control whether you find a quieter spot or invest in better noise-canceling headphones. You don't control your client's initial reaction, but you do control how you respond and how you improve your work. You don't control the visa timeline, but you do control your backup plans and how you manage your expectations. Marcus Aurelius faced this every single day. He couldn't control the barbarians attacking Rome's borders, but he could control his preparation and strategy. He couldn't control the plague ravaging his empire, but he could control his own response and leadership. He wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Read that again. Well, listen to that again. The pain isn't from the thing itself. It's from your judgment about it. And that judgment, that's in your control. When you start focusing exclusively on what you can control, something magical happens. Your anxiety drops dramatically. Your productivity shoots up. You stop wasting energy on things that were never your responsibility in the first place. But I know what you're thinking right now. This sounds nice in theory, but what about when things actually go wrong? What about real problems? Excellent question. That's exactly where we're going next. Let me tell you about the time I lost my laptop in a hostel in Vietnam. Not just any laptop, the one with all my client files, my entire business, my photos from the past year. Gone. Stolen while I stepped away for literally 10 minutes. My initial reaction? Complete panic, rage, despair. I wanted to scream at the universe, at myself for being careless, at the hostel for having terrible security. I felt like my entire nomad life was crashing down. How could I work? How could I recover everything? Why did this happen to me? But then, something clicked. Something I'd been studying in Stoicism suddenly became real. The Stoics had a concept called Amor Fati, love of fate. And no, before you think I've lost my mind, hear me out on this one. Amor Fati doesn't mean pretending everything is great when it's not. It means accepting what has happened, because it has happened and can't be changed, and then finding the opportunity within it. Marcus Aurelius, who faced arguably more adversity than any of us will ever experience, wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. What stands in the way becomes the way." Think about that. Your obstacles aren't just things to get over. They're actually the path itself. So, back to my stolen laptop. After the initial shock wore off, I realized something. This disaster was actually forcing me to confront weaknesses in my business I'd been ignoring. I had no backup system. I was too dependent on one device. I hadn't documented my processes properly. That laptop getting stolen became the catalyst for me building a much more resilient business model. Cloud backups, better security practices, redundant systems.
The obstacle became the way. Now, the Stoics had another powerful practice I want to share with you, and this one is going to sound counterintuitive at first. It's called premeditation malorum, the premeditation of evils, or what we might call negative visualization. And before you think I've lost my mind, hear me out on this one. Here's how it works. You deliberately spend time imagining things going wrong, your laptop breaking, getting sick abroad, losing your passport, your client dropping you, missing a flight, having your Airbnb fall through. Why on earth would you do this? Because when you mentally rehearse potential problems before they happen, they lose their power to devastate you. You've already considered them. You've already planned your response. You're not caught off guard. Seneca, another brilliant Stoic philosopher, explained it this way. The man who has anticipated the coming of troubles takes away their power when they arrive. Think about this for your nomad life. Spend 5 minutes today imagining a realistic worst-case scenario. Maybe your main income source dries up, or you get seriously ill in a foreign country. Don't dwell on the fear. Instead, think through. What would I actually do? What resources do I have? Who could I reach out to? What's my plan B? When you do this, you realize something powerful. You're more resilient than you think. Most problems have solutions. And even the worst-case scenarios, they're survivable. You've survived 100% of your bad days so far. Marcus Aurelius practiced this constantly. He'd remind himself every morning that he might encounter difficult people, obstacles, and setbacks. Not to be negative, but to be prepared. To not be shocked when reality showed up. He wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they can't tell good from evil." Now, he wasn't being cynical, he was being realistic. And because he prepared for difficulty, he could respond with wisdom instead of reaction when it showed up. But here's the plot twist I promised you, and this is crucial. The real benefit of embracing adversity isn't just about handling problems better. The real benefit is that it completely transforms your relationship with life itself. When you stop demanding that life be easy, when you stop being surprised by obstacles, when you actually embrace challenges as opportunities for growth, you become free. Free from the constant anxiety that something might go wrong. Free from the need for everything to be perfect. Free to actually enjoy the journey, rough patches and all. This is what the Stoics discovered 2,000 years ago, and what you're discovering right now. True freedom isn't having a life without problems. True freedom is having a mind that can handle any problem. Okay, real talk for a moment. You're living the dream that millions of people fantasize about, right? You're traveling the world, working from beaches and mountain towns, experiencing different cultures, living on your own terms. So why do you sometimes feel empty, anxious, like something's missing? Here's something nobody tells you about the digital nomad lifestyle. The constant movement can actually make it harder to feel content. You're always in motion, always chasing the next destination, always thinking the next place will be better, have faster Wi-Fi, be more affordable, have a better community. It's a trap. And Marcus Aurelius called it out 2,000 years ago. He wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." You're literally traveling the entire world looking for peace, and it's been inside you the whole time. How insane is that? It's like searching everywhere for your phone while you're holding it in your hand. The Stoics were masters of gratitude, but not the superficial kind you see in Instagram posts. They practiced deep, genuine appreciation for what they had, right where they were. And this wasn't about toxic positivity or pretending problems don't exist. It was about training their minds to recognize the extraordinary value of ordinary things. Let me give you a powerful Stoic exercise right now. I want you to think about your current situation, wherever you are, whatever co-working space or cafe or Airbnb you're in. Now, imagine you're about to lose it all. Your laptop breaks, your bank accounts freeze, you have to go back home, give up the nomad life, get a traditional job in a cubicle. Really feel that for a moment. The loss of freedom, the loss of adventure, the return to routine and restriction.
Now open your eyes to what you actually have right now. You still have your laptop, you still have the ability to work from anywhere, you still have your freedom, you still have your skills that let you earn money remotely, you still have your health that lets you travel. Suddenly, that slow Wi-Fi doesn't seem like such a big deal anymore, does it? This is what Epictetus meant when he said, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." But here's where this gets really practical for your nomad life. The Stoics were also natural minimalists, not because they hated possessions, but because they understood something profound. The less you need, the freer you are. Think about it. You're already living with minimal possessions compared to most people. Everything you own fits in a backpack or suitcase. And isn't that actually liberating? You're not weighed down by stuff. You're not maintaining a house full of things you rarely use. You're not trapped by possessions. Marcus Aurelius, literally the most powerful man in the world, who could have had anything he wanted, wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. Not in your next destination, not in a faster internet connection, not in a better co-working space, in your way of thinking." Here's your practical exercise for cultivating contentment. Right now, identify 3 things about your current nomad experience that you're genuinely grateful for. Not the big obvious stuff. Dig deeper. Maybe it's the kindness of a stranger who helped you with directions. Maybe it's the fact that you woke up healthy this morning. Maybe it's the taste of that local coffee you discovered. Maybe it's the sunset you saw last week that took your breath away. Write them down. Better yet, journal about them. Why are these things valuable to you? How do they enrich your life? How would your experience be different without them? Do this every day for a week. And watch what happens. Your entire perception of your nomad life will shift. You'll stop constantly looking ahead to the next thing and start actually experiencing where you are. You'll stop comparing your real life to other people's highlight reels. You'll find peace not in the perfect circumstances, but in your ability to appreciate whatever circumstances you find yourself in. And that, my friend, is true wealth. That's true freedom. That's what the Stoics discovered and what you're about to experience for yourself. All right, we've covered a lot of philosophy, but now let's get intensely practical. Because knowing Stoic principles is one thing, actually living them daily is what transforms your life. So I'm going to give you a simple 5-minute daily routine that will integrate everything we've talked about into your nomad lifestyle. And yes, I said 5 minutes because I know you're busy, you're juggling time zones, you've got client calls and work to do and places to explore. This isn't about adding hours of practice to your day. This is about strategic, focused practices that compound over time to create massive change. Before you check your phone, before you look at email, before you dive into the chaos of the day, take 2 minutes for this. Marcus Aurelius did this every single morning, even while leading an empire and fighting wars. You can do it while traveling the world. First, remind yourself of the dichotomy of control. Say it out loud or in your head. Today, I control my thoughts, my actions, and my reactions. I don't control outcomes, other people, or external circumstances. I will focus my energy only on what's within my power. Second, practice negative visualization. Imagine one thing that could go wrong today, maybe a difficult client interaction, internet issues, or a travel delay. Then remind yourself, if this happens, I'll handle it. I've handled every challenge in my life so far, this won't break me. Third, set your intention. Today, I will be present wherever I am. I will appreciate what I have, and I will act with virtue and wisdom. That's it. 2 minutes. But done consistently, it's like installing new mental software that runs in the background all day.
The Stoics, especially Seneca, were huge advocates of evening reflection. Seneca would review his entire day before sleep, examining his actions, his reactions, and areas for improvement. This isn't about beating yourself up. It's about continuous growth. Here's your 3-minute evening practice, and you can do this in a journal, in a notes app, or even just mentally while lying in bed. First, ask yourself, what did I do well today? Where did I show wisdom, courage, or self-control? Celebrate your wins, even small ones. Did you respond calmly to a frustrating situation? Did you show kindness to someone? Did you stay focused on your work despite distractions? Acknowledge it. Second, where could I have done better? Where did I lose control of my reactions? Be honest, but compassionate. Maybe you got irritated at slow service. Maybe you wasted time scrolling social media. Maybe you didn't follow through on something you planned. Don't judge yourself, just observe. This is data for improvement. Third, what am I grateful for from today? Name 3 specific things. The Stoics knew that gratitude is the antidote to wanting more, to feeling like you're missing out, to the restlessness that plagues so many nomads. Now here's a Stoic concept that sounds dark, but is actually incredibly liberating. Memento mori. Remember you will die. Stay with me on this. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself of mortality, not to be depressed, but to add urgency and perspective to his life. He wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think."
For you as a digital nomad, this practice is perfect because you already understand impermanence. You're constantly moving, saying goodbye, experiencing the temporary nature of things. Use that awareness to be more present, more grateful, more intentional with your time. When you're in that cafe in Portugal or that co-working space in Mexico, remind yourself, this moment is temporary. This place is temporary. Life itself is temporary. Not to make you sad, to make you wake up, to help you stop taking moments for granted, to help you actually experience the extraordinary life you're living instead of just documenting it for social media. Here's a wild one that the Stoics loved, and it's actually perfect for nomad life. Deliberately practice discomfort. Not suffering, not harming yourself, but strategic discomfort to build resilience. Seneca would sometimes sleep on a hard floor, despite being wealthy. Marcus Aurelius would remind himself that he could survive on simple food and basic shelter. Why? To prove to themselves that they didn't need luxury to be okay. To strengthen their minds against the fear of losing their comforts. For you, this might mean occasionally choosing the cheaper accommodation instead of always going for comfort, taking cold showers, working from a less than perfect location on purpose, fasting for a meal, going a day without your usual conveniences. When you realize you're fine, that you're actually more than fine, even without optimal conditions, you become unshakable. You stop being controlled by the need for everything to be perfect. You become truly free. Now here's what I need you to understand. These practices aren't about becoming a perfect Stoic. Marcus Aurelius himself struggled daily with these principles. That's why he wrote Meditations, not as a book for publication, but as personal reminders to himself. He was coaching himself through difficult times, just like you're doing right now. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is progress. The goal is building mental resilience, inner peace, and genuine freedom that you carry with you wherever you roam. Start with just one of these practices for a week. Get it solid. Then add another. Within a month, you'll have a complete Stoic routine that takes 5 minutes a day but transforms everything. So here we are, at the end of our journey through Stoicism for digital nomads. And I want you to really hear this final lesson, because it's the most important one. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the ancient world, who commanded legions and ruled an empire, discovered something that you're discovering right now as a digital nomad. The only true home you'll ever have is your own mind.
You can travel to every country, explore every city, work from every exotic location, but if your mind is chaotic, anxious, and unsettled, you'll never find peace. Conversely, if you master your inner world, you can find tranquility in a crowded airport, contentment in a modest hostel, and joy in the simple act of being alive wherever you happen to be. The Stoics taught that we're all citizens of the world, cosmopolitans, they called it. Sound familiar? You're literally living that philosophy. You've already rejected the conventional life, the idea that happiness comes from settling down in one place and accumulating things. You've chosen freedom, adventure, and growth. Now, take the final step. Choose inner freedom. Choose mental peace. Choose to make your mind the kind of place you actually want to live. Because here's the truth that nobody tells you when you start the nomad life. You can't outrun yourself. Wherever you go, there you are. Your problems, your anxieties, your patterns, they all travel with you. But so does your potential. So does your ability to grow, to adapt, to find peace within chaos. Marcus Aurelius spent his life on the road, never truly having a permanent home, always moving with his army, always dealing with uncertainty and difficulty. And in the midst of all that chaos, he wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." Above all, the man who has this refuge in himself can go anywhere and find perfect peace. That's your inheritance. That's what 2,000 years of Stoic wisdom has been waiting to give you. The ultimate travel hack isn't a packing list or a visa strategy or the perfect co-working space. It's a mind that's free, resilient, grateful, and at peace, anywhere, anytime, under any circumstances. So here's my challenge to you. Start today, right now. Pick one Stoic practice we talked about, the dichotomy of control, negative visualization, evening reflection, gratitude, and commit to it for the next 7 days. Not as some abstract philosophy exercise, but as a practical tool for living your nomad life better. And then come back and tell me about it. Drop a comment below with your favorite Stoic practice or share how you're applying these principles to your digital nomad journey. Let's build a community of Stoic nomads, people who are mastering both the external adventure of traveling the world and the internal adventure of mastering themselves. If you found value in this, hit that subscribe button because we're going to keep diving deep into mind-hacking strategies for modern life. Philosophy isn't about dusty books and ancient history. It's about living better right now, today, wherever you are in the world. Remember, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Realize this, and you will find freedom. Realize this, and you will find home, not in any location, but in the unshakable foundation of your own wise, resilient, and peaceful mind. Now, go forth and roam with purpose. The world is waiting for you, and you're finally ready for it.